Hello, welcome to the instructions for annotated bibliography. So the annotated bibliography, if you've taken a social science course, you're probably going to be quite capable of doing this without the instructions I'm going to provide here. This is more for the people that haven't taken a social science course or haven't had to write an annotated bibliography before. Now, I have it structured. I have it very structured here, as you'll see in the form you're going to print out. But I mean, if you're a confident writer, you don't really need these headings or titles to follow. So for myself, who doesn't have that confidence, what I've done is you can leave the headers and just fill in the information as you go. So what do I expect, or what do I want to see from the annotated bibliography? So as the instructions indicate, I want you to research at least four to five articles that are related to the topic of interest for you. So at this point, you haven't picked a hypothesis question. All you're simply doing is doing research in an area that you have an interest in. So the first thing you want to do when you look at the article, I want you to do a write-up on who is the author. So what's the background? What are the credentials? Why is it a valid source? Because we want to be able to make that determination on what you're reading. Is it credible? Is it something that is a person's opinion, or is it an area of specialty that this person has a strong background in, or is it, for example, a government site where it's been approved by a panel of experts? So very important to give me a write-up about that. Next is the article summary. So I don't want you copying and pasting part of the article. I want this in your own words as to what the article is discussing and what were the key points or the highlights in it. Next, I want a discussion or a paragraph on, how did the article speak to me? So what stood out in the article? What did you find interesting? What did you find controversial? What did you agree with? What did you disagree with, et cetera, et cetera? And how does this article affect the big picture of society? So when you're reading this, how does it change how society should view this particular topic or issue? So what you're doing is you're making that connection with how does the article influence people in our society or in our world? Finally, last paragraph that I want you to write is how does this article relate to my hypothesis or inquiry question? So you don't really at this point have your inquiry question, you're developing it. So what specifically in that article did you focus on, or did it jumped out at you? Because at the end of this process, we're going to move into a stage where you're going to develop your own hypothesis or the question that you're going to pursue. So those are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas I want you to discuss. I don't want the question on how many words or how long it's supposed to be, because if you're doing that, you shouldn't be in a 4U course. You are going to do this to the best of your ability. If it takes 50 words, if it takes 300 words, that is part of the thinking process, or the expectation here is you realizing what is necessary to complete this task. So if you're going to ask the question on how many words, then you can expect not as great a mark, because if I start capping it, what's going to happen is I'm going to have people that are going to have a capped mark. So what you need to do as a university student, you need to make the decision as to what is required for this question. So some of them, like I said, the article summary, it may be 5 or 6 lines because it's a shorter article, or it may be an entire page. It depends on what you are focused on doing. So like I said, that's what makes the difference between a 4U student who's looking for a good mark versus someone that thinks that, if I reach this goal, then I'll be fine. So that is part of the thinking mark. So other than that, that gives you a quick rundown. And like I said, if you're a confident writer, you're going to write this as a beautiful article. Don't need the headers. If you're like me, that needs a high amount of structure, then you can leave these headers. That's fine, and you can just fill in the blanks with whatever you need to do. So any questions, make sure you ask them, and I'll clarify them in class.